Good afternoon, viewers at home, and you're welcome to Pertinent Questions. On Pertinent Questions, we ask questions that are pertinent to international, national, and even local affairs. And today we are going to interrogate Osun as a state, as a geographical entity. Osun was created 32 years ago. It clocked 32 exactly yesterday, and that is the focus of our discourse on Pertinent Questions today. My name is FEMI ADEFILA, your anchor on Pertinent Questions today. My guest is someone that you must be familiar with. He's been on this program before because he has a lot to say when it comes to Osun State, when it comes to Nigeria, and of course even world affairs. He's an immunologist and of course a nuclear medicine expert, Dr. MUYIWA OLADIMEJI. Sir, you're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you, sir.
Nice to see you too again.
Osun turned 32 yesterday, 27th of August.
Yes.
32 years after.
Yeah.
Will you say, Osun, that you are proud of Osun State as an adult at 32?
That's a very difficult question, but that's a difficult question, but I'll try and treat it as it deserves. It all looks like a few days ago, you know, when we became a state, and Nigeria had to come,
That's
and
right.
that was the first military administrator that we had in Osun. I remember his office was in where along that local government is.
Yes,
now.
that was where it started.
Yeah, that's where it started. So if you look at it from all the points of view of different administration, after Ajiborisha came Adeleke, Isiaq Adeleke, Tuji Adeleke, and Governor Tuji Adeleke, I went to the House of Reps then, and many of we thought this was the beginning of democracy. That was the SDP, NRC era, when Abiola was the SDP presidential for Abiola. And even Bola Tinubu was an SDP senator
from Lagos State.
Yeah, from Lagos State. And everything looked normal. But the military had its own different agenda, or at least the leadership of the military had a different agenda. And after a short while, Abiola was cruising to victory in the election, was denied. And then the election was annulled. After the annulment, a lot of other things. So that's when we now realize that it's all a shambles, it's all a drama. It was all a drama because the house was dissolved, governors were sent packing, and the military came back again. That was a setback to democratic development. And once you have
the state,
of the nation, and of the state,
that's right.
More so of a young state that hadn't got all its infrastructure set and was still trying to grapple with things. So if it affected Oyo State, it definitely affected Osun State more. If it affected Lagos, it definitely affected Osun State more. Because we were infant as a state.
So will you say the incursion of the military to our body polity truncated democratic agenda for the development of Osun State?
Yes, sir. Without any doubt, I would say that it did. It altered and affected the setback of the state development, just as it did to the national development in reality. But like I said, you have an infant. If you give an infant a big knock, that infant may have concussion. If you give an adult, the adult will have headache. And by the time you give him Panadol, it's okay. Okay.
Now, you said that the military took wins of the sale of Osun State and the nation as a whole.
Yes.
But looking back, after that, we've had about 4 democratic dispensations, if not even 5. We had a governor, Bisi Akonde.
Yes.
We have Governor Lakutu Inola. We have Ogbeni Rao Faregbesola. We have Itola. Now we have, as the M-span of the state, Governor Nurudi Jackson, Adimola, Adeleke. But looking back and taking a stock, will you say the dream of the founding fathers, because we read a lot about the effort of the founding fathers, how they rallied, ran, how they organized, how they galvanized support for the birth of Osun State. Will you say their dreams have been fulfilled or being fulfilled?
That's why I say you always ask difficult questions. I think the dreams of the founding fathers has not been fulfilled. But it is gradually being fulfilled at a slow pace, slower than people like you and I expected. See, because no matter how, you cannot, no matter what divide you belong to politically, since the democratic birth of democratic governance, we've seen some gradual changes. I mean, under BC Akonde, he built the secretariat, whether we like it or not. And that, perhaps, if the military had not come, that would have been ready many years back. Or you didn't have to think of that because they already had a good secretariat.
That's right.
That's why I said we suffered more as a small state. And after BC Akonde came Oyinlola. Oyinlola, by all he built the Osun State University, or University of Osun, whichever one we choose to call it now.
Osun State University.
Yeah, Osun State University, with 6 campuses. Each campus, if things are well managed, is a future university.
Let's interrogate that.
Yes.
Some people have criticized the decision of Governor Lagso Oyinlola to deregulate, so to say, or decentralize Osun State University. They say that a multi-campus system is too expensive for a poor state like Osun. Like, that means you have to have 6 libraries, hostels spread across. I know even development was the vocal point of that decision, was the main reason. As somebody in the academic world, do you think that model for a state like Osun was realistic?
Okay, let's go back to examples. New York State University, multi-campus. Michigan State University, multi-campus. California State University, multi-campus. I did not say University of California or University of Michigan. Those state universities are usually multi-campus. Yes, Osun had its own problem, peculiar. I don't know what the financial status of those states were when they were created. I'm talking of the American states. But even in Wales, University of Wales was multi-campus. And each one, you'd be surprised. When I was at the National School of Medicine, where I did my PhD in immunology, as of that time, University of Wales, it was University of Wales College of Medicine, Cardiff. There was a University of Wales College in Swansea. There was one in Abergavenny. There's another one in North Wales. We had 5 campuses. They were all University of Wales campuses. And Wales isn't really very rich part of the UK. It's not poor, but it's definitely not one of the, it's not like England. And they had a multi-campus. I think for every issue, there are always advantages and disadvantages. Part of the disadvantages are the things people criticize it for. But some of the advantages are the fact that eventually these places cannot be abandoned. Any government who decides to abandon it does so at its own peril. Because the people will see that government as anti the community.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree with you.
So eventually they will pick up.
Okay.
And we can give these examples. I went to Government College Badon, which in my days was an elite school. And we used to look down on some of the other schools that were not at that level. Some schools that we consider not at that level. There are many good schools in at those times, every town.
Like Christ School,
that was a good school.
Where I went.
Oh, great. That was a good school. That's why it shows on you.
Thank you.
No, and that's serious. But that's why I say in every community, you had a good school. But some of those schools, you and I thought were not good. I'm sure as we grew older,
that's over
we
time.
see products of those schools who have done wonderfully well.
And are doing wonderfully well.
So which means Osun State University, X campus or this campus or whatever, it is the beginning of good things to come. And already there are good things. I know a few of their products who are abroad, doing their PhD, and they're doing well.
They're doing well. When Governor Ademola Adeleke came on board as the governor of Osun State, one of the very first things he did was to convene a meeting and announce that Osun State is neck deep in 407 billion naira debt. For a state like Osun, how do you think we can wriggle out of this logjam they call the sack and the dark strait that we have been plunged into?
Well, what you have said is very, very serious and very grievous. But I think with this administration alone, the 4 years is not sufficient to get out of it. But this administration can begin the process of gradually reducing our debts, of Of course, for us to have development, we have to renegotiate the rate at which we pay the debt. Because if I owe you a lot of money and I'm using 90% of my salary to pay what I owe, then I won't have enough money to pay my rent and give my kids food. So we have to renegotiate it. And then you'll be pleased if you see some prudency in my approach to spending. So, and this is what this administration is committed to and should be doing, so that people will know that we are not yao.
Is that not a trap?
What do you mean
for governor? I mean, can that be an equivalence at its word?
It is an equivalence.
For the governor,
yes, it is.
For performing.
But we knew before we took over. We had the choice to say, this is too much.
It's too messy for me. I can't jump into it.
So we can't run it. We knew.
The question of if you don't like the heat, you stay off the kitchen.
Stay off the kitchen. That's it. So we knew before we decided, and before we started campaigning for Adeleke, before he himself said, yes, I want to be governor. So it's too late in the day.
But that was the very first time any MC man will be bold enough to tell the people that, hey, we inherited 407 billion naira debt. Yeah. There have been conjectures, speculations. That was the very first time that we put it in proper perspective.
Yes.
And people have commended that.
Yes. That was good.
But do you blame many people have blamed Governor Ralph Adegbeshola for taking Osun this route of indebtedness? Do you subscribe to that?
Do I subscribe to his taking also route of?
And do you subscribe to the fact that we should blame him for this?
I think Ralph Adegbeshola should accept a big measure of the blame for the route he took us to. Maybe he forgot that Osun is not Lagos. I didn't realize that the productivity in Osun is minimal, is minor compared to what it is in Lagos. So it definitely was behaving like a Lagosian, that the terrain was different. I think he should take a lot of the blame.
And take responsibility.
Unfortunately, in Nigeria,
leaders don't take responsibility.
Many politicians and leaders don't take responsibility, which is a pity. Except people force them.
You are one of the leaders. You have been in the House of Rep. Your name features prominently in political circles. You belong to the PDP, and you've been very, very, very consistent in your political ideology. Why don't Nigerian leaders and politicians imbibe the spirit of what we call benefit and burden? In the sense that for every office and leadership responsibility, there are benefits. And it comes with concomitant burdens. But most often than not, they cherry pick. They love the benefit, but they despise the burden. Why do we, is it part of us as a people? Why don't we take responsibility for assignment that we have?
Well, you see, because this is a station, and I don't want to sound arrogant. Nonetheless, it's incumbent to be truthful. I think the part of the problem we have in Nigeria now and in Osun State, compared to the Awolowo days, those who were in the parliament were enlightened avant-garde of society then. Who were in Western Nigeria House of Assembly, ditto in the Eastern House, and I think the same thing was happening in the North. They were enlightened avant-garde. They were by Jasin, they were but all of a sudden, you see, with this military intervention and force, when it became an all-comers game. Not only became an all-comers game, you see, you ask yourself sometimes when you are discussing with people, how do I find myself here? Because some people, and I'm not afraid to say that, some politicians can't even define what politics is. What is politics? Some say, what's the difference between conservatism and progressivism? They don't know it. So when you are suddenly bothered, and those are people supposed to be ruling, when you say, this is not peculiar to Osun State, it's the whole of Nigeria. So when you are burdened with those kind of people as leaders, then you got a problem.
So you are worried about the value that politicians bring to the table?
I'm worried about, I didn't say some politicians bring to the table. To be unfair to say politicians.
Okay.
Yes. Some politicians bring to the table. They don't understand what it's all about. And that's why you notice and you said, people say they like the benefits, they don't like the burden.
That's right.
They're not prepared for the burden. And that's why, again, you see what you call cross-carpeting. Cross-carpeting. The guy is in PDP today.
He's in APC tomorrow.
Tomorrow you hear.
Or he's in APC today, he's voting for PDP tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
He's in PDP today, he's working for a APC candidate tomorrow.
And it's SDP day after.
And he's working for Labour.
That's why you see there.
So people don't, Nigerian politicians, most, as a some, let me use the word some, don't believe in political ideology. No, they just see political party as special purpose vehicles.
That's it.
To get to their destinations.
Yes, that's it. Politics to them is a means of achieving their own personal ambition, and then the parties are the vehicles masqueraded as public interest. To them, it's like you are in Arsenal or Manchester United or Man City.
You're in Chelsea.
Yeah, or Chelsea.
Or Man U.
Man U, and they move around.
That's right. With impunity.
Yes. So when you have those kind of human beings,
then you have problems.
Look, I don't want to mention this, but we know them. We know them. How can such people, how can you expect something super from such people? Somebody who for the last 8 years was saying PDP, and all of a sudden, and within 2-3 months, he becomes APC, and becomes a minister, or he becomes a president of one of the big, most important houses, and vice versa too. In PDP, we had it when PDP was.
So where is the ideology? Where is the conviction?
None.
Where is the program?
So, if they had serious children, the kids will ask the daddy, what you have been telling us for the last 4 years, why are you where you are now?
What changed?
What changed? So when you have such people as leaders, so-called, is it realistic for us to expect change?
Let's come back home. I know we are subsumed in national politics and the value thing. No, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. Now, people see Osun State as substantially a civil service state. When I came to Osun in 1992, as a youth corper, we had steel rolling mills, we had machine tools. IBL was functioning at optimal capacity. Now IBL is half Elisha, half Shagam. Then so many other companies, privately owned. But today, steel rolling mill is sold. Steel rolling mill is sold. It's there. It's commodity.
Yes.
Machine tools, it's sold also. Nothing much. Some other companies have gone down the drain. So the state has seen government as the only viable business. Why does this lead us? Where does this lead us?
It's a very bad situation. Like you said, it's a very, very bad situation. I know it was the Obasanjo regime that decided anything government business is not good business.
Government has no business in business.
And therefore they should be sold. That even when Odua company had the best bid for machine tools.
Wow.
Yes. The president said no, Odua is a government parastatal. Odua tried to explain that we've been in business and we give money to the states, their shareholders. We didn't allow. Now.
So to Dangote.
To Dangote. No, it's the steel rolling of steel.
So the steel rolling, yeah.
Machine tools was sold to a group, quite about 3 of them, retired military chaps. And it's now like a guest, it can't even be a guest house, it's a ghost town. As for steel rolling mill, that one has become a dump site for cement. And if you remember their management building, there's a tree that has grown out of the
building. Yeah.
It's a shame. It makes one almost cry. Well, economy is the basis of human relationship. Economy is what helps to push the development. Without a good economy, so what we can only hope for is that if we have a serious government, a prudent government, we're going to have some SME, small and medium scale industry. This is one of the passions and one of the hopes and dreams of Adeleke's government. That if we can encourage people to go into a small, medium scale, then it means in Ila, we're producing some Fanta, orange juice. In those places, we put tomato juice. In some places, we do different things. When those ones are successful, the entrepreneurs or those involved will then probably have more courage to say, let's go into bigger things. And then the banks also take them serious, looking at their background. But for now, our situation is very bad. It's a civil service state, and it's unfortunate. I'm sure when people see you and knowing how big a man you are, a lot of people will be bothering you. I want job here, I want job there. As in because you smile and a lot of people know you, that you just go walk into a commissioner as an employee. The commissioner has a problem of how to pay the people you are
under him. And people say the fact that we pay about 3-point-something billion naira, 0.6 billion naira as wage, that is huge. That how does the state survive? I mean, and most often than not, do we take into consideration people in the informal sector, the peasant farmers, the artisans on the street, the carpenters, the bricklayers, those people outside the formal sector? That most often than not, when we talk subsidy, we talk about the civil servant, as if those people on the street
don't matter.
That constitute even about 95% of the population. They don't really matter.
Yeah, but that's been there for a while, and we have to change that narrative. And the only way to change it is by absorbing and getting some of the informal sectors to perform. That's why I talked about things like medium scale, small scale, medium scale enterprises, because that has done very well in Tanzania.
That's right.
It has done very well in some other countries. So if we can get them to do well here too. I mean, we used to have Luaro. When I was a kid and we used to come for Ibadan.
Where is the Adire anymore?
I don't see any.
The Adire is not in Abeokuta or comes from China.
Exactly.
We have sourced everything and exported our jobs out. Now, you talk about the SME now. I know energy, power is a major factor that ordinarily should galvanize industrial development. And Osun is very lucky. The National Control Center for Power in Nigeria is domiciled here in Osogbo, Osun State. And I want to say, without fear of contradiction, that Osogbo enjoys fairly power, fast supply fairly. How can government now use this as an advantage to woo, to lure, to invite, and to attract industrialists and industrial development to the state?
Well, I'm sure you know that what some of the things you have said are the wishful thinking of a nice Nigeria.
Wow.
The fact that we have this control center, national control center here, does not mean that it should get priority. It used to, because the staff too live here and they don't want to, but it's not a policy. And we cannot, it's not Osogbo that will dictate the policy to the control center. And if you're not careful, some of those who dictate the policy, maybe say, look, these Osogbo people are getting too much, reduce it. But what I thought we should think about, and you see, there was Fabumi, Adewoye, there was during this before Aregbesol's government went, he brought, I really like people abroad. He brought some engineers, some of them happened to be my classmates in those. Late Professor Shegu Adewoye of Naseni was there. Professor Fabumi, who was from your school, was there, and a few others. And they said, look, Osun can generate power from some of the streams it has, rivers it has. And that power will be enough to encourage people into it. Now, at that time, federal government did not want to hear any sort of thing.
No.
But now
it is a move to the concurrent list from the exclusive
list.
Yes.
So these are areas we should look at. Encourage some people to come invest in that.
Doc, even beyond that, I remember there was a time I went to IBDC for meetings. To talk to them how they can increase power supply to our station. And they said that, hey, they wish that there are many more companies in Osun State. That most of them, that not every month, they have megawatts of power, electricity allocated to Osun that they don't evacuate at the National Control Center. That if they have more companies like the one they have in Ikinu, the one in Ife, they told me that the one in Ikinu pays about 500 million naira every month. But they struggle to get money from locals here who don't pay, who must have bypass or a lot of energy tapes and stuff like that. Don't you think government should look into this? Have a meeting with IBDC distribution company and use this as a bait to invite industrialists, because hey, power is key. If I have power supply 24 hours there, I will smile to the bank. Yes. I'll be happy. A liter of diesel runs me about 830 naira. That is not a smiling figure.
No, it's not.
So can government look into that?
It's a good idea. I think you as a very well-known Osun region, and us too should look at it and try and encourage government in that direction. I didn't know what you just told me now, but having had it, it's going to be in my brain, and I will try and see how I can also, advise and talk to governments
to do something about that.
To do something about it.
Before you go on a short break, let me ask this question. At the beginning of things in Osun State,
Yes.
even development infrastructure was one of the major agenda of the founding fathers.
Yes.
That pastors, government agencies, companies should be located across the six geopolitical zones. So sorry, the six and the federal constituencies now, or the senatorial district.
Because the six they had it at 6.
That's right. I remember there was
Each
six
territorial was
zones.
divided to, yes,
That's
6
right.
zones.
That was also them in the Wo,
Yes.
some other stuff in Elisha, some stuff in Ila, in Ikiru. That has been jettisoned over time.
It's a pity.
Now Ushubu is enjoying all the things and the attention.
Yes, it's not the best thing. If we have to be honest with us, it's not the best thing. The idea there was that there'll be good roads from. Look at Osun. There's nowhere you can get to in less than an hour.
That's right.
If the roads are good.
From Iriwole,
Yes.
Ikire,
Yes.
to Ora, where I come from, to Ifetedo, to Ejigbo.
You get to Osogbo in an hour. If the
I agree
roads are
with
good.
you.
So but we seem to have forgotten that, and that will have helped decongest each zone. Will have been an area of economic activity, and people will have been more there, and commerce will have been. Having it in one place is not conducive to national or state development. We must accept that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Viewers, my guest has been Dr. MUYIWA OLADIMEJI, a nuclear medicine scientist and expert, and we've been interrogating issues on Osun State development agenda from here to where, now that Osun State is 32. Don't go anywhere. The conversation continues after this break. Thank you.
Samuel Ladoke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the Action Group, which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader, was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Morimi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history.
Welcome back from the break. My guest is very much in the house, Dr. MUYIWA OLADIMEJI. Sir, thanks for staying with us.
Thank you very much too for keeping me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I've had a very interesting conversation with you. Now, Osun used to have what we call free trade zone. I remember during the reign of Governor Olagunsoye, it was one of the major programs that he promoted, and so much money went into that project, though it later became a subject of corruption allegations and stuff like that. Now that Governor Ademola Adeleke has made it emphatically clear that industrial growth and development are his watchword, or what is going to spend so much money on, so that we can mop up people from the unemployment market. We can stop crime and criminality and develop our state. Do you think government should take a look at that free trade zone again?
Well, if government is going to look at it, government has to be sure that it will be done in the proper way. Because I don't like to quote Obasanjo because I don't agree with him all the time. In other countries, government has owned businesses and the business thrived. I mean, British telecom, British electricity didn't become private until over 200 years. Obasanjo did everything in one year. So, free trade zone is good, but it's also prone to abuse. And so any government that wants to start with it again has to be extremely brave and vigilant. Extremely brave and vigilant.
So I can become a success.
So that can become a success. If you are not that brave and vigilant, then please, for now.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
You've been there at the beginning, from the beginning.
Yes.
You were there when Osun was created.
Yes.
One of the very first people that got elected into the House of Representatives, part of the SDP.
Yes.
You saw the military, though you didn't participate. You were at the constitutional conference, I guess.
Yes,
I remember interviewing you in Abuja by election.
Yes.
Now, you saw the coming of Governor Adebisi Akande, after Governor Isaac Adetunji Adeleke, who came first. You saw the coming of Prince Olagunsoye, then the coming of Governor Rauf Adesoji Aregbesola, Uyitola, now Governor Nuruddin Jackson Ademola Adeleke. If you want to put them on a scale, how will you rate these governors? Will you say Adeleke performed the foundational role so well? Will you say Governor Adebisi Akande built on what he meant on ground? Then Governor Rauf Adesoji Aregbesola, then Governor Uyitola, now Adeleke. How will you rate these men? I've been privileged, but I think leadership is a privilege to lead the Osun State people.
Thank you very much. The question you asked me, I will not answer it the way you want me to answer it.
Okay.
Yes, because all I will say is that each one of them has played a role in what Osun State is now. And Osun State now is much better than it was in 32 years ago. But and the credit of whatever we have now must not go to one person, and whatever problems we have cannot be adduced to one governor. Everybody has had shares of successes. Everybody had shares of failures. So that's how we see it. And you know, I'm a politician. I don't want to be accused of being extremely partisan on matters like this, because like our partner, like I honestly say, every governor has contributed to progress in one way or the other. But also every governor. When I say every governor, those of us who are part of the government, if Governor Debade's government, I pray and hope that we continue to do things. But if we do anything wrong, I must share part of the blame. So every government has contributed positively, but they've also had their own difficulties, and they must take some shares of whatever blame you are. But the good news is that I believe, and I studied that the democratic governance has indeed been better than the military years for the people of Osun and in Nigeria generally.
Okay, so now let's talk about tourism. I was born here, so I know Osun fairly well. Osun has some tourism potentials that have not been developed that can actually earn Osun extra income apart from what we get from the federation account that every governor is fixated upon. When you go to Kilayo, Ayikunungba waterfall, beautiful waterfall, water cascade down from the eye, from very high place there. Yes. When you go to Eringesha waterfall, you find it there. You go to Ife, you got your staff. Even Obafemi Awolowo University is a site that people want to see. Yes. Some people are curious. When you come now to Osogbo, Iluaro, reputable and known for the World Heritage Site, Osun Grove. What can the state do to develop this site? It can serve as revenue generation. There are countries in the world that rely absolutely on tourism. Gambia is one of them. Yes. A friend of mine just returned from Gambia, and he said, when you go to Gambia, tourism and fishery is the major sources of income. How can we develop this critical sector, tourism, for the development of Osun State?
Well, I think we should just keep reminding ourselves that we have some other choices apart from depending on federation accounts. But secondly, we must also, in our enthusiasm, tourism will not survive if the security situation in the country is bad. And nobody hears news of that somebody was kidnapped on the Ibadan-Ife road and will be anxious. Even those who are Nigerians will be anxious to come to Nigeria on holiday. So whilst I agree with you that tourism is in fact important, that tourism will help to drive up our economy, I also would like us both to appeal and to other people to appeal to the powers that be that security must give it the necessary priority in the world. Without it, at all. I mean, you go to Kenya and you can sleep. Yeah, nobody comes to harass you. Even when you go to the site, so I mean, you go to look at the animals, you come back as late as possible. You just enter at the safari. You just enter your own place. Nobody disturbs you till the next morning. If you don't lock your door very well in the hotel here, your things can be taken away. So these are some of the challenges. But I agree with you that tourism is a very potent area of revenue that we must exploit. And secondly, it's even an area of development because it brings people across, people from X country, meet people and they can say, look, I like that. I'll be buying 10 from you each month. So the person who is making the fan, the local fan, sends it to Brazil or sends it to Panama or anywhere, and that's more money.
That's more money.
Yeah. And then I was okay, I will also send you our own slippers, which we make from this. And that's why I said tourism is good.
I was actually coming to that too, under what I call creative industry, creative economy, which is huge.
Yes.
And Osun, in the days of Mbari Mbayo Group, led by the late Ulibaya, the famous people who were bred, if not born, in Osun, the Jimo Brahmans of this world.
Yes.
They are there.
Yes.
And how can we develop that, the creative economy of the state, so that it doesn't go into rack and ruin? It can be a source of revenue generation for a state like Osun. Because it's dying.
It's dying. It's dying.
I mean, I can't see Aro anywhere. I can't see batiks. I can't see Adire. Now, if I want to buy Adire, I have to import from China. Or I go to Abeokuta. What happened? And if you see what Governor Ibikule Amosun did with that sector in Ogun, you will marvel. He did a lot. How can we do that too?
Well, I mean, there's no harm in copying what is good. So if what Governor Ibikule Amosun did, we have to study it and see how we can get the aspect that is suitable for us into Osun, to different parts of Osun. That's it. Because you're right. I don't see Aro anymore. Whereas in those days when we came from Ibadan holidays in Osogbo, even my grandmother's house in Balogun, not far from All Saints Church, the All Saints. There are many people doing Aro there, and I will go to them and be playing with them. Black Omandudu, and they'll put the cloth somewhere. Then another time they'll put echo on top of these things, But I don't see it anymore.
To make beautiful batik, right?
Batik,
yes.
And Adire. But my own children and grandchildren didn't see it. I can't even describe it well anymore because I've forgotten.
Wow. If today you are I know you are very close to him, I'm just asking the question. You are locked in a room with Governor Ademola Adeleke.
Yes.
Who today he has the fortune and the responsibility to govern Osun State. What will you tell him as a way to add value to the state, as a way to take the state from where it is today to where it should be, or as a way to write his own name in gold? Though he's done a lot that people are commending, so many initiatives. How does he sustain that? How does he do something differently? Think out of the box and do something that will put Osun on the path of prosperity and economic survival.
Yeah, I won't tell you everything I will tell him, but one of the things I will ask him to concentrate on will be small and medium scale enterprises to encourage its development in different zones, and also what you've talked about, tourism. Because indeed, some of the people that Aregbesola brought, they abandoned them. They had to go back. Even talking about generating electricity locally. But at that time, federal government didn't have it. Now that federal government's for it, I think these are areas that we should look at, because if we can generate, and what we generate helps Osun, more than what we have right now, it means the SME will be able to survive, and people like me and you who are small, will not depend on diesel all the time, So those are the things I will tell him about, that tourism is good. It shouldn't be just Osun grew, during the Osun festival. No, there are festivals.
You should do much more than that.
Much more
Even the festivals, some people are very appalled that during the last one, about 3 people died. That Osun festival every year is greeted with all manner of violence. You have hooligans and manner of thugs brandishing all manner of weapons and behaving in a very indecent manner. What can we do to sanitize that system?
No, you see, these are the things. These are the fallouts of unemployment and of the state of the nation. Because we went as young people to Osun River, and I remember when we just came back from it, I took my daughter, we went there together, nobody felt harassed.
It was peaceful.
It was peaceful.
It's no more peaceful these days.
I didn't go this time, because you're not...
But you are an indigenous of Osogbo, yes. And you are prominent here. Yes. Can't you have a meeting with the king and the Atauja in council that we need to redeem Osun?
Yeah, right.
Shrine.
But it's not Osogbo, it's beyond Osun. It's beyond the king alone. You see, the government also must partner with us, and I know the government is interested in partnering with us.
Can we filter those who come? Can we see them? Can we interrogate
we have to start doing
the interest of Odua People's Congress and other court groups?
Yes, we have to start doing that. And if they don't want, then let them go back. We don't want people to come and start killing themselves around here. They want to kill themselves, let them go to Igbo Duma. Let them go elsewhere.
Igbo Rumole.
But that's also in Osun. That's why I kept quiet.
Yeah.
Is it in
Igbo Rumole is someone in Okigbo?
Yes, it's okay. We're very not affected though. Yes.
Yes. And I know you are a proponent of quality education.
Yes.
And it's very important to the development of the state and Nigeria.
Yes.
At the last education summit that I had, Governor Adeleke made a promise that he's ready to change the fortune of Osun educational-wise. Osun is not doing well in the rating as we speak. But he said he's going to take us to from 1 to 10. Osun has gone south.
No, yes. I mean, look.
How do we return north?
Look, Osun was, how do we return south, you mean?
Yeah.
Osun was 7th. I wrote an article about it, which was published in the Vanguard, before the election. Osun, that was before 2018 election. Osun was 7th under Oyinlola.
That's right.
And by the time this guy went, Aregbesola went, he concentrated on uniform, all sort of those, what I can't...
denomination, stuff like that, all manner of programs.
Yes. And Osun dropped under Aregbesola from 7th to 26th. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't know that it has gone. Then later, by the time 2 years Oyetola, you see, it has dropped again. And now we are second to the last. We are just better than Zamfara. But you see, the point that one should make now is that we are going to change the narrative. I mean, we're going to change the situation. It's not acceptable. We used to be educational disadvantaged state. Osun was never transferred.
In that group and category.
Yes, a category. So we won't allow it to happen. And it will. The governor is so passionate about it and is so upset that we can be classified just above. And I'm sure all of us, like you and me, I
think it's a shame.
It's a shame.
And Awolowo will not be happy in his grave.
He will not be happy.
And the founding fathers will be
happy. Anybody, none of them will be happy. So we must change that. And I think it's a shame.
I'm happy you are making that promise that we change that scenario, we change that narrative.
7th in 1 year. We won't go back to 7th.
It's a gradual. But let's see effort. There are efforts being made to build the state out and to remove the state from being second to the last, at least back to 15, 16, and then 14, and gradually regain its lost place in the Committee of State as far as education is concerned. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate it.
As usual. I've been having conversation on Osun State with Dr. MUYIWA OLADIMEJI, an immunologist.
Yes.
And of course, a nuclear medicine scientist or nuclear medicine expert. And we've been interrogating issues around Osun at 32 and development of Osun. Until next week, when we come again on Pertinent Questions to interrogate another issue with pertinent questions. I remain yours sincerely, FEMI ADEFILA. Until next week, we shall bring another guest on the program. It's the convenient spot to draw the curtain on today's edition of Pertinent Questions. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.